Wood as a structural material. In these slides, we will study some background about wood, classification of the material, how is the lumber process, and how wood is used as a modern material in many buildings, included some buildings with long spans. Background. Wood is a natural replenishing resource. Happens that the United States use a lot of board feet of wood, about 42 million per year. But by far more trees are planted than cut down. Well, in countries like the United States and in some developed countries, wood is a very sustainable material. Almost all residents in the south of the United States, in places like Florida, use wood for structural framing in housing. The classification of wood. There are two types of wood. First, softwood. Softwood is typical in developed countries in the north and in the south areas of the earth where the climate is temperate. Trees with sharp, needle-like leaf evergreens like pine, fir, hemlock, spruce, cedar are the type of softwood that usually is used in construction. A part of the softwood, a more expensive wood, is the hardwood. Hardwood are trees with broad, flat leaf that are deciduous. I mean, they lose the leaf in the winters. In our area, there can be oak, maple, pecan, ash, balsa, and in developing countries, there are many types of hardwoods. Hardwood, unfortunately, are more expensive, are more difficult to harvest, and therefore are more adequate to use in furniture instead of construction. Softwood like fir, pine, hemlock, spruce are used in construction and framing of houses. Instead, the hardwood is mostly used for cabinetry, wall panels, trims, floors, etc. The wood have a structure, and in the exterior part there is an outer bark and an inner bark. After in the interior part, we have first the sapwood, after the earthwood, and finally the peat. Each one of them are organized by year. There is like an annual ring, and the wood start to grow every year around the internal part of the inner bark. As a general characteristic, wood is stronger when stress and load are applied parallel to the direction of the fibers. In few words, if we have a piece of wood and the piece of wood like the ones that we're looking here is long, if we put the load in the top of this big long piece of wood, it will work better than if we put in the sides. Well, working parallel to the direction of the fibers is better. Wood also have a moisture content, and the content can be 100% when the tree is growing. Having so much water obviously make the wood not as strong. But after it is cut into lumber, the moisture content will diminish and arrive to be to 6 to 19%. As the wood became more dry, it will get stronger. The problem is that losing all that water made the material to shrink and also probably to break and have some cuts. Well, the process is simple. Everything starts in the forest. The logs are cut, and after the bark, the logs are cut again, and lumber pieces are cut from the logs. After the lumber need to be dry, and that usually happens in an oven or kiln. And finally, when the wood is ready to be sold, there is a grade mark. In the grade mark, you will have some information about the mill that processed this wood, and information about the type of wood and dimensions. Wood is a very modern, economical, and building material, and the objective of this class is that you understand how you can use wood in your projects in a different way. That the one that you have the habit to look in usual residential unifamiliar homes in Florida. Even when wood is a very modern material, it has been used for many years. One of the best examples, historical examples, is the Staff Church in Norway. It was built between the 11th and 14th century, and they have huge wood stave for about 3.4 meters and 10-meter longs, and all the loads are transmitted like many buildings from the roof to the wall base. However, nowadays wood is used mostly as a wood framing. Wood framing is the way to build with wood in most residential houses, where wood is not used as the material that just is making all the wall, but only part of the structure of the wall. Well, usually is dimension lumber or glulam beams that are used to make walls and prefabricated trusses or joists that are used for the roof system. Roof framing normally need to have joints, and the joints are very important. We can have like prefabricate metal gusset plates in wood structure, dimension lumber that is cut for the roof ends and is attached to the rest of the building with metal straps that will continue from the slab to the roof in order to make sure that the material is well attached to the base of the building. This is especially important when we have hurricanes. Well, here in this photo, in the right side, we can look the metal gusset plates that will put together several pieces of wood that are very economical. And we can also look some of the metal straps that can be used in order to keep the material in place. Joints. Joints are very important, especially for architects, because we want to design to a joint. That is one of the places where we can express the beauty of the material. Happens that 90% of all failures in wood begin at the joint. Well, it's very important to have a good connection of the wall, concrete slab, and to resist any kind of wind and seismic forces. The joints will help us to connect the pieces and make sure that the building works as a whole. There are many materials that are used to do housing in our area, and one of them is prefabricate wood joists. These joists are like E-joist, I-joist, and normally have two components. One is the flange, that is the superior and inferior part of that beam, and the second one is the web. The flange is the area that resists more, that support more weight and have more moment, tension, and compression. Well, in this particular area, we use more lumber, sometimes composite lumber, so glulam timber. In the webs, is used a cheaper material like plywood or OSB panel materials. Another possibility is to use glulam. Glulam, as you know, is like a series of pieces of wood like attached together. This material can allow to have spans that are not usually supported by pieces of lumber. You can notice here like the cantilever that this material can resist. Wood can be used in any variety of designs. For example, this is the ceiling of the Anatolia Museum of Civilization in Ankara in Turkey, and we can look how beautiful the material can be used to make different type of design. Glulam also is very good to be used in structures because it's usually stronger than the usual pieces of timber. It can be used for cantilever beams, for long spans, and can create structures able to resist seismic load. Here we can look at shake table. It's a table that move in the inferior part where those I-beam from steel are there, and there is a mechanism that allows this material to move. And when the material moves, whatever is in the top, in this case, this two-floor wood building, it will start moving, and that can be used to understand how earthquakes can affect wood material, and especially the connections. That is the most important. Wood can be used in a very variety of use. We can look here how wood is used as a glue lamp arches in a bridge. Also here as a wooden roof structure, where we can believe that this is made out of steel or concrete, and this usually is made out of concrete or other materials like steel, and here is made out of wood. This ice skating rink in St. Louis have a pitch, tapered, and curved glue lamps, and the span is 130 feet. What is something that is quite unexpected for wood. But something very special can be the special event centers in the University of Utah, where 350 feet span, and one of the best buildings with a very long span created in wood in the United States is the Tacoma Dome in Tacoma, Washington, where we can look here the dimension of one of the joints and the dimension of the material that is able to support a huge span of more than 500 feet. Roof structures are wood because sometimes we can have several members together that allow us to reach what we want to do as a designer. We can have double members for top and bottom cores. We can have single members for web members. And it's important to understand that the joints can be made from very simple elements like steel planes that are driven to the wood, that obviously will have a partial joint fixity, or members that are much more complex made out of steel. This is an example of a roller coaster located in the Six Flags Park. It's 1 mile long, and they have 1 million board foot of lumber. Well, wood can be excellent when it's used as a fatigue material, a material that can move and be used with different types of stress. Wood also can be used in combination with other materials. This is an example of tilt-up concrete walls that are made in the floor after they are tilt up and put in a vertical position in a foundation usually made out of concrete, and after we can look how they are working together with wood in order to make the roof system of this project. Another material is the laminated veneer lumber. This is like very small pieces of lumber that are laminated very tiny. Usually the bark is laminated like in a circular way, and this element is put flat and glued together to make this veneer lumber that is very good to resist also long spans. And it was used, for example, in this case of the University of Idaho, in a stadium with a span of 397 feet. It's sustained by trusses that are set 7 feet deep. And we have the laminate material that is used for the cores and steel tube for the web members. It was made in only 24 days. Well, wood also can be built fast. We have the Treach, that is a pedestrian bridge in Michigan, where we have a 3 hinges glue lamps that are supporting by a pier, central pier in this particular lake. Also this interchange in South Dakota of 3 floors, where we have like a big spans of a bridge that is made out of glue lamp. anti-stress laminated bridge that has inside a piece of steel. Anti-steel is press-stress and keep the material together. The wood beams will be much stronger because there is also steel inside. Well, steel is not only to be used inside of the concrete, it can be used with wood. Thank you very much.